looking forward to this for quite some time. And I know that, you know, just because of circumstances being what they are, it has been, you know, a while in the making. So I'm very, very glad to be here with everybody today. And I'm so glad that we were able to do this over Zoom. One more thumbs up from everyone. Can you hear me okay? Want to make sure. Excellent. Okay, wonderful. If at any point you need, I do really well with signals, so if any point you need a little bit more, let me know, point up or something, and I can certainly turn up my microphone. So I can see hopefully most of you here. I'm trying to do, you know, the screen share at the same time, but I can see quite a few of you. So just by showing, by raising your hand or giving me a thumbs up, how many of you here today have ever played an instrument, be it at home or with school, anything like that? Okay, a couple of you, excellent. How many of you have sung in a choir or sung in a choir? Yeah. Okay, how many of you have sung in the shower? Yeah, everybody? Okay, good. You always sound best in the shower, good acoustics and all that. So great. So for those of you who haven't raised your hand for any of those, would you still consider yourself musical? How many of you would consider yourself musical? No, I'm getting some no's too. Thank you for your honesty, by the way. So I think that we kind of have this misconception as a society that if we don't play an instrument, if we don't sing, if we don't dance, that we are somehow inherently not musical. And I would absolutely argue that that is certainly not the case, because I can bet that anyone who didn't raise their hand just now still listens to music. You might use music differently in your life than I have in mine, but that doesn't make you at all non-musical. Show of hands who enjoys listening to music. Yeah, absolutely. And it may be similar music to what I like, and it might be different, but either way, that whole thing about us all enjoying music, that is the same. And I would say that if you enjoy music, you are indeed musical. So I am Jennifer Phillips. I am a music therapist and the head of the Expressive Arts Department at the Hochstein School. A couple of you may have, you know, seen us. We have a couple of free concert series that usually draw a pretty good crowd. So hopefully you've been able to come downtown and actually be able to be there. But for those of you who don't know, Hochstein is a nonprofit organization, arts organization, music, art, and dance in the city on Plymouth Avenue. So I have been there for just a couple of years, but I've been doing this for a whole lot longer, 14 years now, working mostly in neurology and music. So anyway, without further ado, since music is my thing, I am going to start us off with a sing-along today. So I can't actually prove that you're singing because you're all muted, but if you weren't muted, then we would get a whole lot of weird background noise. So I'm going with the honor system. Please sing along if you know the words to these next few songs. And yeah, I'm looking forward to singing with you today. So I will make sure that I'm singing the whole time so you don't feel like you're all by yourself, okay? Have some lyrics up here. So I picked this song just because I really like it. Show of hands who's heard The Lion Sleeps Tonight before. Okay, good. Great. So a few of you. Excellent. So I really like this. It's got a whole bunch of different fun words in it. And it starts with just like that E sound, okay? So let's do this. I'm going to put it, hold on. Okay, there we go. It is up. Okay, great. So I have the lyrics up here, and I would love for all of you to sing along. Here we go. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. We on the way. We on the way. In the village, the peaceful village, the lion Okay, so we're going to go back through the first verse just one last time. And this time I want you to think about a couple of different things, okay? So you have the melody in your head, right? So this time I want you to see if, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, so see if you can sit comfortably in your chair and just do something to move your body along to the music. So I'm going to be swaying a little more as much as I can in my corner office. I call it a corner office because it looks, you know, sounds fancy, but really it's a corner in my basement. So I can't go very far, but I will be going from side to side. And I'm also going to add in a little bit, just for myself, a little bit of rhythm here on my guitar as we're singing through. If you want to do that, keeping the beat on your body or clapping, something like that, you can absolutely do that as well. Okay, so let's try this one more time, just from you know what, let's just do right from In the Jungle, the Mighty Jungle. Okay, so here we go. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. We am Bamboe. We Thank you for the people who are actually conducting. Mad props to you. Nice job. That was excellent. All right. Thank you very much. That was fabulous. So when we engage in singing, this is a little different, by the way. If we were all in one room together, we'd all be able to hear each other sing, okay? So that's the reason I always keep my voice going with yours, so you feel like we're not alone. But being able to, you know, to get together to make music, whether that's here, whether that's in, you know, your church or place of worship, whether that's out in your community, being able to just be together and to engage in that together is usually just pretty fun and pretty relaxing. So whether you consider yourself musically inclined or not, it's just that, you know, really great way to just relax and just be. I have brought another song too. Stand By Me. I'm a Motown girl. I was raised in Detroit, so that is my that's my thing. But when we, you know, this is a little bit more, I would say, rhythmic, or at least a little bit more. I don't want to say rhythmically sound, but it's more obvious where the rhythm is in here than in, you know, in the one that we just did in Lion Sleeps Tonight. So I'd like us to sing this as well. And this time I definitely would like you to have something where you're keeping a steady beat. So maybe instead of moving your body, you're tapping your toes or you're clapping or something like that to just get that body moving along with your words. Now, you can certainly keep the beat just like this. When the night has come. And then, if you want, you could challenge yourself a little more. See if you can put in a double clap. When the night has come and the land is dark. But you can do whatever you want. That's kind of the whole point, is that you get to do what you want to do, okay? And what works best for you. So let's do that, okay? And we're all gonna sing this together, same deal, and everybody moving. Here we go. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we see. Oh, I won't be afraid, oh no, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me, oh, stand by me, oh, stand by me, stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, and the mountains should crumble to the sea, by me, stand by me. Nice. Nice, everybody. All right. Oops.
Hey, Jennifer,
Woo.
can you advance your slides?
Oh, yeah. Is it not working for you? Oh, hold on a minute. Oh, so nobody saw the lyrics. Resume share? How did that work? Sharing is paused. Bring your share window to the front.
You have to put it in presentation mode.
Oh, I thought I did. Okay, hold on. Let me fix that then.
So
you
were sharing this.
Okay.
So you were sharing it, but it wasn't in the presentation. So.
Okay, so you couldn't actually see the lyrics.
So they could see the first slide, but it wasn't flowing.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, everybody. Hold on.
So you
Let me do that.
Once you share it, you just need to click on presentation on your screen for it to on the slide, and then it'll.
Okay, so it's after I start the share. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so let me try that again. Okay, and then I have to put it in
the presentation button.
Okay. Oh, where did that go now?
So on the bottom.
Yeah.
Just click on.
Down here?
Yep.
Okay, so now you can though?
So once you click on it, it should start flowing like a presentation. Did you click on it?
I did.
It is.
Yeah. It's not doing it.
Nope. So go back to slideshow.
Okay.
And then hit presentation, and then it should play.
Okay. So let's see. Go back. I'm gonna stop share. Go back to the slideshow. Got it. And hit presentation. Okay.
And then share it.
And then let's see. Yeah. You know what? I think what it is, Alexis, is since I'm doing all of this on the same computer, when I go to do that, you can't see. For some reason, I did all of that. So, and for some reason, you can't see. So to be honest with you, I can try again. Let me just see here. And if I'm moving these.
Jennifer, it looks like you need to just go over to the left-hand side and click on the next slide.
Click on the next slide. Okay, let's see. So on mine, it's showing the next slide. But if it's not showing yours, what I can do, Alexis, is just send it to you. And then if you want to display it while I talk, you want to do that?
Sure.
Okay, sounds great. So to be honest with you, other than having those lyrics, there's not really a whole lot on the slides that you really need to know. We're just going to chat now, so we'll be able to have a conversation. So let me get this out here, and I will just send that right on. So I am really interested, as I'm sending this is my next question anyway, can any of you, or would any of you like to unmute yourselves and tell me just a little bit about your musical background? I'm always interested. I always ask this question at every presentation, just to kind of see a little bit about where you're coming from musically. So you can either tell me an instrument that you played, or, you know, what kind of music you like to listen to, and feel free to unmute yourselves to do that.
Okay, I'll go first. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can.
I played piano and flute in high school and a little bit in college, and took some more piano lessons after college, and then I started teaching piano out of my home, and I've done that for over 30 years.
Wow,
But
that is really wonderful.
I stopped when COVID started.
Yeah, that's kind of put a damper on a lot of things. I teach piano too, a lot of that for our teachers, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Gosh.
I will say my husband, who has Parkinson's, has become my only student right now. And
okay.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine that it is. Has he been working with you for a while on piano?
Maybe 4 months.
Okay.
And when you say working with me, he's got a personality, like he likes to do it by himself.
Yeah.
So I just come in now and then.
Yeah. So even having that time to explore, the time, you know, that you're able to sit down at the piano and play, whether it's plunking out notes. By the way, I was I was that kid too. I never did well with formal lessons, but I always would sit down. I was very self-directed and would teach myself, you know, what I wanted to know. But even having that time to sit down and really plunk out those notes, that's wonderful for your brain, for your motor coordination, for everything. So that's great. Absolutely. Anyone else? How has your experience been with music, or what has your experience been with music?
Well, I tried to sing to my grandchildren, and it made them cry, and it hurt their ears, so I quit doing that. But I like the RPO, so we belong to that.
Excellent. I like the RPO too. That's really great. So, all right, I have a story to tell you, to your point there. So I am a vocalist first and foremost. I've been singing since before I could talk, and I still sing professionally, and, you know, opera and the like. And so I have 2 kids, they're 5 and 7. And when they were little, you know, I would sing to them, my husband would sing to them. And so, you know, my daughter has always had, I mean, they both have pretty keen ears, but especially my daughter. And so there was a song that my husband would always sing, and he cannot carry a tune in a bucket, you know, but he's still very musical. But as far as, you know, the singing, it didn't come very naturally to him. And so every night he would put her to bed and sing the same song. And if I tried to sing it, it would be like, no, Mom, Dad has to sing it. I'm like, but I can, you know, but it was all the, you know, it didn't matter to her at all what it sounded like. It was all the experience and that connection of singing together. So I can't imagine it's what made him cry, but maybe. But I like that you still did it. That's excellent. Anyone else can have at least one more person now?
I used to play piano, and I sang in choirs and chorus. Lately, I've been doing the vocal exercise classes through Power for Parkinson's, and we do tongue twisters, a warm up, and sing songs, and it's just a lot of fun. So
that is really wonderful.
And I'm muted, so nobody can hear me.
All right. Okay. That's great. I'm glad that you shared that. That's wonderful. So when we think about music, and we think specifically about music and Parkinson's, a lot of the times what we would consider to be just, you know, a general music experience, having it being singing together or playing an instrument or sitting down and learning something on the piano, whatever you think of as those, you know, types of music, you know, activities you can engage in, a lot of those, without us even realizing it, are helping our bodies to, you know, to do those functions and to complete those functions that we would normally need to do and to strengthen those functions. So for years, I ran a Parkinson's choir down south, and I have to say that I have been singing with choirs for 30 years, and that is the most fun I have ever had. Singing with a choir was when I was running the Parkinson's choir. We just had a blast. Everything from rhythm exercises to tongue twisters, exactly what you said, you know, things people may not realize immediately, you know, as being speech or being musical activities. And, you know, being able to do that and having those call and response, and it was just so much fun. So I'm so glad that many of you have had the experience of being able to engage in music in that way. So Alexis, I sent that to you just so you're aware, and if you're able to put it up, fine, and if not, it's really okay. This is meant to be more of an open conversation. So I wanted to also let you know, so when we're talking about music, I could, you know, give you something to sing and you could sing it back. So normally, like, you know, I would start with something you knew, which obviously I picked a couple songs I thought that you might already know. And, you know, then from there we can kind of move on. Once you're a little bit more comfortable, once we've kind of already done that, and we might want to do something that is a really basic kind of call and response. So that means that I say something and you say it back. So this is maybe not something that is previously learned. It's typically something new, but it is something that we use a lot for speech generation, and also for getting those vocal muscles not only warmed up, but used to, you know, producing spontaneous speech. And this is, you know, something that is usually really beneficial for for folks with Alzheimer's, and thank you so much. And also for anyone who may be dealing with a brain injury that results in any kind of expressive aphasia. So I'm going to show you a call and response that I really like. It's a super simple greeting song. And so what I'm going to do is sing a phrase, and I want you to sing it right back to me. So it's pretty quick. So the rhythm is pretty easy, and it's going to go like this. Hello, hello, how are you? How are you? I'm fine, I'm fine. Nice to see you, nice to see you. So we can go right back and forth. Let's try it one more time. Hello, hello, how are you? How are you? I'm fine, I'm fine. Nice to see you, nice to see you. So we can do it that way too. Now, I have over the last 14 or 15 years met people who had 18 different native languages. So that's a whole bunch of music and culture and language to learn. And one of my favorites was how we adapted this a few years ago when I had a music therapy group they were all from different parts of Europe. So we're going to try a little something kind of fun using exactly the same melody that we just did, only I'm going to change the words a little. Let's try it together. I'll go first. Bonjour, bonjour, nice to see you, nice to see you. Guten Tag, guten Tag, marhaba, marhaba. So now you get to do something completely different using that same melody. So that is just like the very, basics of being able to sing together. So I thank you, Alexis, by the way. Can everybody now see me and see the presentation? Oh, hooray, success. Okay, thank you. So I often get people saying a music what when I tell them I'm a music therapist. So I don't know, have any of you heard of or met or had a music therapist that you've worked with before? Any of those things? Yes, okay, excellent, good. So a couple people, yeah. So music therapy is technically considered therapeutic arts, but it is also considered a mode of therapy. We are a research and evidence-based practice profession. I went to school. People say, did you go to school for this? Yes, I went to school for a very long time for this. And I absolutely love it. Music therapists work with a whole bunch of different populations, a whole bunch of different people, many, many, many different diagnoses, and just many, folks from all over the place, many different walks of lives, many different, musical preferences, all of that. And we are, we're all musicians ourselves, so we went to music school, but we also all have Bachelor of Science degrees, at least that, if not more, and Master of Science degrees. So it's not an arts profession, but a science profession. We often work toward the same goals as our counterparts. So when I say counterparts, I usually am including speech language pathologists, OTs, and PTs, and also in any other part of our client's treatment team. So sometimes that's neurologists and things like that as well. But generally, when I'm talking about therapeutic professions, I'm talking about OT, PT, and speech. And so many times in our careers, we have the opportunity to have some sort of interprofessional collaboration with them. And the ways, the more that we can do that, the better our, the better our client's outcome is going to be, because we're all working together as a group. So we work alongside these other therapeutic professionals, and we target similar or even the same goals, but we're targeting them in different ways. So where a speech therapist might use, repetition of phrases, kind of like what we just did to elicit responses in a patient with expressive aphasia, the music therapist might also add a melody to those phrases, similar like we just did with the hello and how are you. So those basic conversational skills. And when we add music to it, the other hemisphere of the brain is engaged, because that is where the language centers are. So they are opposite, or the music centers are opposite of where the speech centers are. So where a PT might use like aquatic therapy or FES stem to really strengthen those muscles and improve gait, we might use rhythm as the driving force toward reaching that same goal. So and then when we actually are able to co-treat, when we work together with speech and with PT and with OT, it not only allows us to become more well-rounded as clinicians, but also helps our clients to really receive the highest level of care when we're all working together. Let's see, can you do the next one? Thank you. Okay, excellent. So why music? That was easy for me because I was a musician first. I've always been interested in the therapy field and always interested in neurology, but why music first and foremost? I think, we talked about this a little in the beginning, but music is a part of who we are. We might use or experience music differently in our daily lives. I might use it for one thing, you might use it for something else. I am one of those people who cannot have the radio on in the car, which is surprising because, I'm a musician. I can't stand it. I can't do I don't know if it's just getting my brain to switch from the music to the talk to whatever. I could listen to podcasts or I could listen to a CD, but the radio drives me nuts, whereas my husband always has to have the radio on. So we definitely experience that in a very different way. But all of us, any of us who were born here, raised here, grew up here, all of our brains are rooted in Western music, despite the fact that our individual preferences might be different. So it's funny, by the way, I had someone ask me in my last presentation, do you mean like country Western music? And while my brain is definitely rooted in country because I like that, that is not what I mean. I mean the music that we would hear here in the United States, North America, as compared to maybe in India where they have a 12-tone scale and we have 8. So it's definitely a lot different being over here. So whatever your music preferences are, we are all exposed to, to Western music, and we have been since even before we were born. So at 20 weeks gestation, a baby can hear. Their auditory cortex is developed enough to be able to hear and understand and start to process sounds. And so all the way from before we're born to now, we are influenced by the music that we hear. I'm going to actually pause this just for a second because I would really like to be able to share a video clip with you. It is one of my very favorite demonstrations of why Western music works, like why our brains are rooted there, how we use music as a tool. And so let me just put this on here. I'm going to be sharing that with you right now, and I will share my sound too. So please let me know that you can hear it once we do that. Okay, let me put this on here, share computer sound. All right, let's try this. So I'm going to put this on over here. All right. Oops, it'd be helpful if it was actually unmuted. Let's see here. There we go. Can everyone hear that video? Yes, excellent.
Talking about expectations. Watch. Ba, 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 da da. Ba ba diddle diddle da da ba da 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 ba 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 da 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 ba ba ba.
Okay, am I back? Can everybody hear me now? Yeah. Okay, great. So I love Bobby McFerrin. If you don't know him, he's the one that did "Don't Worry, Be Happy." Da, 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 da. Okay, so he's not a music therapist, but he very early on learned what that brain connection was like. That was a whole audience of quote unquote non-musicians who learned the pentatonic scale just by watching. There was a little bit of a lag, I realized, with the audio and the video for that, just because I shared it over Zoom. But every time he would jump, he would sing a different note. But if you noticed, he would jump between the first two, and then all of a sudden when he went to the third note, people would know what was coming next. It's the same thing if you had never heard, you know, the song Twinkle Twinkle, and I did bum 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 bum, you would know is what came next, because that is the way that our brains work. So we as music therapists use that to our advantage and to your advantage when we all, you know, when we use music and rhythm and melody to kind of help to work on the goals that everyone has set for themselves. So you can go right to the next slide, please. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so there is a huge connection between music and the brain. I never really know, by the way, how many slides to, you know, put in my presentation about music and the brain, because I could probably put in 20 and I could talk to you about all the different neurological processes and bore you, you know, forever and ever, because I like music in the brain. I actually read neuroscience in my free time because I'm, you know, that kind of person. But it is absolutely fascinating to me how music and how rhythm affects us as individuals. There is a huge connection between the auditory nerve and the limbic system, the part of our brain that is responsible for emotional response, which is pretty obvious, right? Because, I mean, I guess raise your hand if you've ever listened to a song because you know how it makes you feel and you want to feel that way, or even that you feel it supports you in your emotion and you really like it for that reason. So you listen to it because you know that that is something that's going to be powerful for you, right? We all have that kind of music. I know what kind of music I like when I'm feeling kind of low and calm, and I definitely know what kind of music I need when I have to like get up and clean my house, okay? That's gotta be, you know, some serious get up and go music. So we use a whole lot of different music in our lives for different reasons. When we talk about music and specifically motor response, rhythm is the strongest component of that. So when we were singing, Stand By Me, and I said, you know, you can clap on the beat or you can do a double clap or whatever. When you are singing and clapping and those responses are happening together, it's that rhythm that is driving that force. So it is driving the motor responses. Having it be, you know, something where you can hear the drum and you can clap along, that's a great thing too. I mean, anything that has that kind of motor component in it. But I really liked that. I was watching, by the way, I say I never judge for musical, you know, talent, but I was watching everybody and you're playing right on the beat. There are many of us who can't clap off the beat. Like it's not even if you don't consider yourself musical, we can't do that as people. When we have that internal rhythm, that usually keeps us kind of right on that track. And it starts with something super simple. I mean, our heartbeat, that's a rhythm that we have in our lives that goes through, through our entire lives. And if you think about that, there's rhythm in so much of what we do and in so much music that we listen to. I can still remember trying to walk down the aisle at my wedding and not being able to do it like, off the beat. It's incredibly common to not be able to do that. So we use, specifically when talking about motor function, a lot of times we will use drumming to get those, get the bilateral coordination to work together. If you have use of only one hand, we start there, and then we start incorporating the other side. So maybe that's just putting the non-dominant hand on the drum, and as you are tapping on the drum, your other hand can still feel it. It's still processing that rhythm. We also use it a whole lot when we're talking about gait training. We do a lot with rhythmic auditory stimulation, just like you may do in PT, starting with a metronome, where we're hearing that clicking sound and we're walking along to that beat. Music therapists, or especially neurologic music therapists, which I have an additional certification in neurologic MT. We are trained in I guess, observing gait, figuring out what your typical gait is, and then using that knowledge and that assessment of gait to be able to put those, supports in place to have your gait be your gait. We're not changing it dramatically, but having it be more rhythmic, having those functions work a little bit more, whether that's just a metronome, whether it's something that is in your ear that's keeping time, whether it's the music therapist in your session behind you strumming right on cue, whether it's that you're singing and walking at the same time. Whatever that is that has that strong rhythm component, those are the things that are going to help us to be the most accurate, especially when we're talking about gait training and to kind of strengthen those muscles. When those neurons fire, when you're hearing the rhythm and you're internalizing that, and those neurons are firing, they are also talking to your motor cortex saying, okay, listen, I can hear this drum beat and here I am, I'm walking on the beat, and all of that is happening before you're even aware that it's happening. I like to joke that I'm really not a dancer. That part's not the joke, but I always say I was born with 5 left feet. Like, you hear people say you got 2 left feet, I have like 7. It's really crazy because even though rhythm feels really natural to me, dancing doesn't. So I can walk on the beat, but when it comes to dancing, it's just not a strong suit of mine. But being able to hear that and internalize it, I can move my body to the beat. And in this sense, that's considered dancing. It's just as good. When we're talking about singing and speaking, those happen in different areas of the brain. Your speech center is in a different place than where your music auditory is processed. So even if you are singing something and you are speaking something, you're using 2 different areas of your brain to do that. I work a lot in stroke rehabilitation, and especially, as I mentioned before, with expressive aphasia. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term, it's being able to have your words in your head, but not being able to articulate them. So you can understand just fine, but then actually being able to get your thoughts out is a different story and can be very, very frustrating because it's all right here and there's no loss of intelligence whatsoever, but being able to adequately communicate them can be hard. So what we are finding, and what neuroscientists and musical neuroscientists are finding, is that our brain can almost overcompensate, or can at times overcompensate, for the areas that are damaged or the areas that are less functioning than others. And a lot of times, just by putting in some melody to really important phrases, we are able to take that speech to a whole different level. So I have a lady that I'm working with right now. She is 2 years post-stroke, and she had no functional speech when we met. No phrases, no spontaneous speech, nothing. And so one thing that, I asked her what was a goal that she really wanted to say. And it was really funny. She said, I would like to say I want coffee, because it was her favorite beverage and she wanted to be able to ask for it. So fast forward a few years, and we're working together. She has tons of functional speech now. And this morning, just over Zoom, because that's how we're working together, raised her cup and said, I have coffee. And I said, great, I have coffee too. But it took a long time to get from not having any of that to the musical phrase, I want coffee, to look, I have a cup of coffee. But we are able to do that working in conjunction with the speech therapist and with the OT, because we're also doing oral motor exercises, which are so important. There is a whole lot that we, we can accomplish together. Me and you, me and the other therapists that I work with. And, I think the most important, aspect of what we do together as a therapeutic team is figure out where your goals are, what you'd like to accomplish. And we work together to figure that out and to target those in a way that is fun, that is freeing, that is really just no pressure type situation, I guess is what I want to say. So I really want to make sure that I have enough time for questions, because I really would like to make it be something that's beneficial to you and to what your experiences are. So that's kind of my overview. One thing I will say too, by the way, is that engaging in these music experiences, just in general, they are great for not only our communication, which we talked about a little bit, but for cognition, for singing, lyrics, and an improvisation exercise that we were going to do, but I don't know if we'll have time. But just having that, those experiences together to, your emotional well-being. We're all together as a group engaging in something that is fun and freeing. And really decreasing that isolation in a time where it's very easy to feel isolated. None of us were expecting, to have to be in our homes for this time. And so to be able to gather and to be able to have these experiences, those are really great. I would always advocate that anyone join groups of people that they feel, have that not only shared experience, but have that similar interest. And that is how our Parkinson's choir was born down south, and a whole bunch of people who just really wanted to get together and sing, no prior experience needed. And I've also run, we call them gross motor groups, and it sounds like it's boring, but really what they are is dancing. We've done square dancing groups with my Parkinson's folks, and just being able to have those fun engagements with each other. You don't even really always know or realize in the moment what's going on under the surface and how much that's benefiting, your brain and working towards your goals. It's just a blast to get together with everybody and be able to do that. If you can advance one more time, Alexis, to the next slide. It's just kind of an overview of a whole bunch of things music can do. We've kind of already talked about all of these, but it's kind of all of these and so many more. So I would love to be able to take questions, thoughts, more music experiences from anybody who has them. I was going to say, you can unmute yourselves too if you need to. Yeah.
Okay, here's a comment from Mark.
Okay.
I find that when I go to concerts, like outdoor concerts or something, I'm fine. Because I'm really kicking up the dirt. But when I'm listening to like a speech or something, I'm not so fine because I'm still kicking up the dirt. If you understand.
I do.
Yeah.
So
Small space.
Music works well for me.
That's wonderful.
People think I'm keeping time with the music when I'm just shaking. A whole lot of moving and shaking going on.
Yeah, so I think that's a really great point, Mark. And I like that you mentioned that too. this goes not only for people with Parkinson's, but I think that music is an experience that is so universally, experienced by everyone. I mean, everyone, of, people who are neurotypical, people who are not, people who have special needs, people who don't, people who are deaf, people who are hearing, that we can all engage in that in our own way. And that music experience in that space is somewhere where we just feel, we feel good, we feel safe. And I see what you mean too, that when you're moving, no one notices, right? That there's a difference, but I think you can be there and you can be who you are.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That's great. I'm glad that's provided that for you.
Can you stop sharing your screen so we can see each other?
Oh, good idea. Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure.
The only thing that I will do at the very end, once we're done talking, just so you have it, is to put my contact information in case you would like to be able to contact me. And I do encourage you to, if you have any more questions or would like to talk further, I'm always there. But yes, sorry, someone else had a question?
Yeah, Jennifer, when the Parkinson patient is freezing, I mean, I do all sorts of things. I do hot 2, 3, 4, that kind of thing for him to help him move, and I move him back and forth like this. That kind of helps. But I wonder if maybe you have some other suggestions.
Yep, that's a great question. So is it Gail? I couldn't tell who was talking.
Yes, it's Gail.
Yes, Gail. Okay, thank you, Gail. Yes, absolutely. I think that's a wonderful idea. So first, to get that rhythmic piece in there, absolutely. If I was going to say some Parkinson's folks who are freezing, that will be too, I don't want to say like too jarring of a difference, but the brain might not be right there, immediately with the rhythm. I would always advocate too for tapping on the body first. It wakes up the brain. So being able to, when you're dealing with that freezing, if you have someone there and you can say exactly what you did, the hop 2, 3, 4, hop 2, 3, and suddenly I'm feeling that, and without even realizing it, my brain is also processing it. So then when I'm ready to, I can get up and make those movements different. So I would start even small scale and then work toward a little bit more. That goes for everything. That's from, even little kids who are first experiencing music and language, having that slight motor component where you are keeping that beat on their body, that just, it's like the precursor to the get up and go. So that's a great question. Yes. Yep.
I can't sing at all, but I can dance to anything.
That's
so
great.
I find that for me, that's my outlet.
That's your outlet?
Yeah, so I still do Zumba.
Oh, wow, good for you. That's great. I love that. So yeah, I might be the opposite of you, Linda. I can't coordinate very well, but I love like feeling that beat. And I have been to a Zumba class. I don't want to say what my instructor said about my dancing ability, but it was really wonderful to be able to, to be there and to move, just to feel that music. I love that. Great.
And I also find that learning something new helps your brain also.
It does. I was wondering too, I never asked this, but can be, I mean, I've actually had opportunities to coach art therapists, but even so, music and motor talk about a lot with drumming, with walking, with all, but for any of you who have engaged in any kind of visual arts too, that's another great, connection as well. So even if it's something, I don't really draw, but I will listen to music and color how I feel, or I'll listen to music and, I usually dance, I got little kids, somebody else like to me. So that's just a whole nother experience to get your music, brain, motor, all working together, if not dancing or drumming. But it just made me think of that. So I don't know if anyone else is a visual artist, but that's a lot of fun too. Anyone else have questions or thoughts?
I find that I always have to have background noise. I either have to have the radio on or the television on. I think it keeps my brain active. And my wife is exactly the opposite. She needs total quiet in the house.
Yeah.
And
Sounds like the beginning of a very great mirror.
so we don't see each other a lot during the day. So.
That is great. So that's a good point too. My brain processes music and sound maybe different that I already mentioned, different than my husband's does for sure. Whereas, having the radio on and those, those sharp changes, that is really like kind of disconcerting to me. It's like dysregulating, it throws me off. But for him, that's completely fine. If I am working, I'm focused on something, working, I'm writing a paper, whatever it is, I can't have any, almost like any sound at all, maybe a little bit of light instrumental music, but if something happens with lyrics, then boom, my brain is automatically on those because music is really strong for me. So however that's another thing too that I didn't really say, but the way that our brains process music, they all hear music the same way. The way that they process music might be a little bit different. So I think one of the things that I love about, working with individuals and working in music therapy is because we take all of that into account. So it is not only what your music experiences are, but also the way that you process and how do we use those kinds of things to your advantage. But you are absolutely right in the fact that even passive listening, so having something on in the background, is a brain activity. It is a whole brain engagement, whether you are singing or whether you are just active listening or whether you are just listening. If you are taking it in, it is a brain process. Absolutely. Yep.
My musical experience is ancient history. I was a background singer for a garage band in my high school days, and played a little guitar and took trumpet for band, but I failed miserably at that.
Those brass folks, I give them a whole lot of credit. I have never been able to make a sound. My husband's a trombonist, like a good one. Never been able to make a sound out of the trombone. So I'm with you. Yeah, that's great.
You know what Hayden said? He said, pay no attention to the trombone players. It only encourages them.
Oh my gosh. Wait, who said that? Is that?
The composer, Hayden, I think his name was.
Okay. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. I need to write that down and tell my husband. Thank you.
Pay no attention to the trombone players. It only encourages them.
That is a fabulous quote. Maybe the most perfect I've heard for trombonists. So thank you.
Jen, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
My name's Mark, and I got a question. I understand music has a theory behind it, sort of a mathematical algorithm that it goes to, but art doesn't have a theory. Can you talk about a musical theory?
Yeah, I sure can. So I think musical theory is going to go right back to what we talked about with my term of Western music. So we have that kind of predictable pattern, and whether you like Motown or arena rock or country, yes, love country, or, classical, you're going to find those themes throughout all of music. It's going to happen everywhere. And when I say themes, I'll show you for a second. Hold on. All right, so when I say themes, we kind of have these like musical motifs that we come to expect. There was an old comedic sketch called the 4-Chord Song. And basically what it was, a bunch of comedians, all musicians got together and showed in 4 minutes how many pop songs have only 4 chords to them. So it's kind of funny because it's very true that if I played, let's see, so if I played like this, I could probably sing about 15 different songs off the top of my head. that only use these 4 chords, okay?
Right.
If I were to, play a children's song, those are usually 3 chords. I could use the exact same chords for Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star as I could for Row, Row, Row Your Boat Gently Down the Stream, as I could for the Itsy Bitsy Spider Went Up the Water Spout. So having those like musical motifs that come back again and again and again, those are what keep us so attuned to the theory of music. The fact that music is patterned, predictable, and rhythmic, that keeps our brains kind of always on the anticipation of what happens next. And that takes some critical thinking and some critical listening, but having those patterns is definitely important. Now, for the artistic side, I can't speak to it as much, but I can tell you that art, I have found, allows me more freedom in some senses than music. And maybe it's because I'm a musician. I've always been a musician. So maybe I'm like too stuck in, that pattern that I can't think outside the box, so to speak. But I'm not an artist. So if I'm listening to something or thinking about something, I can create more freely as a visual artist than maybe I can as a musician. So I guess it kind of depends on what your strengths are, but I think that there are absolutely those, I don't know, the kind of good things about both of them, depending on what, you're more attuned to. That's a great question. I've never gotten that question before. Thank you for asking. You made me think about it. It's great. Yeah.
Okay, shall we sing good night, ladies? Good night, ladies. Good night, ladies. We're going to leave you now.
We definitely should. Does anybody else have any questions before we go, or thoughts or ideas?
Well, I thought I would just throw in a clinical experience. I had a patient who was, of all things, a speech therapist who had a stroke in the speech area. When asked to sing the words to a song, she could, absolutely 100%. When she was asked to speak the same words, she was totally incapable of doing it.
Really?
So once again, it shows the different areas of the brain.
Yeah.
And also had a patient who had seizure disorder, had part of his brain ablated to wipe out the seizures, which also was the speech area. He would sing to you when he wanted, whatever he wanted to talk to you about, he would sing it. And again, perfectly without any trouble whatsoever.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's maybe my most staggering and humbling experience as a clinician is seeing those who struggle with speech, be it expressive speech, or be it the rate of speech or the volume of speech, change drastically when music is involved. So thank you for saying that. It's absolutely, it's staggering. It's absolutely a wonderful, wonderful thing to witness, because you're just using those new tools that you have in your toolbox to be able to, accomplish the goal that you have for yourself. So I love that. It's wonderful. I think I heard one other. There's somebody talking, but they were muted on and off. Make sure you're not muted.
Okay, might have been me.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
And when I get frozen, or to get unfrozen, a lot of times I talk to myself. I say, Bob, you got to move. Okay. And that gets me going. But I should try singing, I suppose, even though it makes grandkids cry. It hurts their ears.
Oh, it makes us cry too.
Oh my goodness, it doesn't. So Bob, that's not a bad idea. And here's a crazy thing, okay? We didn't know this until very recently. Within the last 5 years, there was a research study, groundbreaking, out of the University of Toronto that showed that if you're in one of those patterns, and they were talking specifically about motor function freezes, okay? So if you're in that, not only the positive self-talk was great in getting us going, but the study looked at the fact that of people who were actually exposed to music, so you could actually hear it, and those that thought of a song in their head. And there was not a lot of difference between the control group and between the ones who are singing in their head. So even having that, if you are internalizing it and it's something that is in your mind and you use that as your get up and go, I would always start, just like I had mentioned earlier, to get like that kind of small scale where you're just, you got it in your mind and you're thinking about it, and then easing yourself into it. But even if it's up there, give it a try. See if you can sing that song and move right through that.
Jennifer, I have a little question here just to add. My husband has trouble pulling out nouns, and it makes it hard for him to run a discussion. I just wondered if music could help him pull out the word he's looking for. I ask him lots of questions to get to the word, and sometimes that works. But I just wondered if music might help him. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think yes. So the reason that I say I think is because, you know, since I don't really know or haven't met him and haven't heard his patterns of speech, what I would tell is that for anyone who has that we call it either word retrieval, even if it's not true aphasic, having that word retrieval, you know, issue, and we see that a lot too in like in Alzheimer's and dementia. So being able to find that word that you're looking for and to get that out. We do a lot of work with word retrieval, and we use a lot of improvisation to get there. So, you know, giving those sentences that don't necessarily have a planned response. So nothing that, you know, comes afterward. We do a whole lot of that. So it's kind of more of an open forum. And the more that we use that as a back and forth, or even something as, I want to say simple, but as kind of like generic as playing, you know, a line of music. Say you're sitting at the piano and you're playing something the other person's playing back. It's a different sort of conversation. The same can be used with art. Maybe I'm drawing something and you're adding lines and creating something else. So it's kind of all of those neural pathways, when we work on all of those together, that's how we would typically, I want to say, engage someone who has that retrieval issue, is to engage in not only the kind of conversations that they can easily have, but also to be able to do some of those improvisational exercises with the open responses that they are more used to working with those, and then go from there. So I would say that it's certainly, you know, worth a look at. It really is.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. I can see someone, who had a question, but I can't tell what your name is. Lady with the glasses. You're in the top of my screen. Yeah, hi.
I'm going to just mention, since you brought it up, how music changes people's moods, or how you can achieve or gain a certain mood or have a nice experience. But you remember, maybe the National Commission on Debates should play some beautiful music. They are changing some of the rules, and if they played some music in the background, it might give and support.
They could play
I tell you,
blind mice in the
there you
background.
go. I had to listen to my own calming music while they were doing that. So
Yeah,
yes,
no kidding.
definitely. Oh my goodness, I'm going to send that, by the way, to them. Excuse me, I think that you should use this, you know, this clinically proven music therapy method. Good golly, but isn't that the truth?
You could do it.
There you go.
Sometimes
I would too.
That's the only thing that can calm me down is music. It's just got that wonderful connection to my limbic section of my brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think probably a lot of us use that. Another thing too, just to think about too, is, you know, in general, during this time, during COVID, during quarantine, having those, that emotional, I really mean trauma when I say trauma, having that trauma of having your life upended and having those emotional experiences that we're all facing, and some of those like visceral responses to what's going on in the world today, to be able to have that as that tool that really, that's still home, you know, that's never going to change. So having that as that calm down and that thing that you like and what makes you really feel good is such a great thing. And I've had such wonderful experiences too, especially when it comes to, you know, sleep and quieting my brain down at night, knowing what works for me, what I can listen to, you know, what I can do for my own self to listen to those things that really make my body feel calm and, you know, really calm me down at the end of a long day or a difficult day or a whatever day. So absolutely finding those things that really work for you and help you care for yourself. 100%. Yeah.
It's also inspiring. I think it's one experience to have when you see somebody you love that you haven't seen in a long time. You know, that feeling you get, especially if you're a grandparent and you're giving them a big hug. There's certain music that I can listen to that I just wait for a certain phrase or a certain, I think like a certain cello concerto, really just makes me feel so secure and so looking forward and so positive. I mean, that's what we need too, the repetition, the inspiration, the culmination, if you will. Music can do that too.
The musical hug, right? You know,
Right.
that thing that just is like your warm fuzzy. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great point. Yeah.
Thank you, Jen, very much. I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
Great. So
Thank you very
interesting.
much.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you having me on today. And so I really wasn't kidding. We really will play Goodnight Ladies. So before I go, let's do that. Because, hey, you know what? That has, when we do, you know, when we have music, we kind of have that opening and we have that closing. And really, like, what better song than that? All right. So if you will all do me a favor and sing with me one more time. And you know what? Even if you're unmuted, that is totally fine. It might reach your ears at different times, but we'll go with it. Good night, ladies. Good night, ladies. Good night, ladies. We're going to leave you now. And the one thing I would love to do today is to share with you one of my very favorite closing songs, and then I will leave you. This one I wrote many years ago based on a Buddhist blessing, and it's one of my favorites. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May you be happy. And thank you, everybody, for having me today.
Thanks so much.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.